Gustavo Envela Jr. is an Equatorial Guinean American whose family fled to native Equatorial Guinea more than 40 years ago to escape persecution. As president of the Voice of Democracy for Equatorial Guinea, Gus has dedicated himself to effecting change in his native land. Gus, welcome to Black Horizons. How are you, sir?
Pleasure being here, Chris. Thank you for having me.
All right. You want to educate the community, particularly the black community here in Pittsburgh, about Equatorial Guinea and what's going on there. You say there's a dictator in charge.
There's a dictator in charge. Actually, the Envela family has been in charge since October 12, 1968, when Equatorial Guinea gained its independence from Spain in 1968. Teodoro Obiang was preceded by his uncle Macias Envela, who was a brutal, ruthless dictator along the lines of Idi Amin and even the late Saddam Hussein. It's a country located in West Africa, about the size of Maryland, has 500,000 people, and more recently in 1992 there was a discovery of oil, which has deemed Equatorial Guinea from being the armpit of Africa to now the petro revenue source for much of that area of the world known as the Gulf of Guinea.
So this could be like some of the small Arab countries in terms of oil wealth, and it could mean a real boon to the population there. Is that correct?
It could and it should, but unfortunately this dictator has other interests. The country, which earns $2 a day, earns $2 billion a month, yet the people only earn $2 a day. I find it very hard to believe in the 21st century, even a dictator who is concerned primarily with filling his coffers with petro wealth is doing so in such a way that folks from outside of the continent as well as inside the continent are really concerned about the direction with which this country is going. I'm hoping that as a citizen of Equatorial Guinea and a permanent U.S. resident that I can do what I can in terms of lending a voice with regard to democracy, economic sustainability, and a desire to let folks know that there can be fortified U.S. relations between Africa and the U.S. minus these anachronistic dictators who just don't get it that their time is up.
Okay, let's get a little history. You were born in Equatorial Guinea.
Yes.
Your father was the first ambassador in these modern times from the country to America, and so you were educated here at Stanford and many other places here. You actually represented Equatorial Guinea in the Olympics in track and field. Is that correct?
I did. Actually, was privileged enough to have competed in the 1984, 1988, 1992, and 1996 Summer Olympic Games as a sprinter for Equatorial Guinea. I actually, Chris, had gone all the way out to Sydney to compete in my 5th Olympics, but at that
you were denied.
I was denied. My country felt that they knew that there was something going on with regard to my political ambitions.
You were getting a little bit outspoken?
Outspoken, which is unfortunately not something that they take very kindly to. Equatorial Guinea is a supporter of not allowing folks to voice their concerns. The elections have been fraudulent year after year. And we're hoping with those who are sensitive to the issues of democracy and transparency, of shining a bright new light on that part of the world, on what people often refer to as the dark continent.
Well, how can Americans help in this effort? We read national reports that says the current foreign minister says that oil wealth that you mentioned is being used to pave roads and provide fresh water for the citizens. Whom are we to believe and how are we to know the truth?
I would think that if you would look at let's just be on the plain level, look at the body types of the folks who are in the government and the rest of the population. The folks who are in the government look fairly healthy, whereas other folks are trying to earn $2 a day.
So this gives real meaning to the term fat cat.
Fat cats who are now turned into fat lions. So what I'm trying to do is let folks know that Equatorial Guinea is on the precipice of greatness. The resource curse of oil, which has been it's been a blessing, but unfortunately it's been a curse because it's been misappropriated by a select few kleptocrats. We hope that through its smooth transition to democracy and letting people know that those of us who have been privileged to have been educated in the States, understand the tenets of democracy, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, can go back to our country and give back. And I invite anyone and everyone who's interested in learning more about Equatorial Guinea to Google Equatorial Guinea, to Google myself, or to send me an email directly at presidentenvela@yahoo.com. And I'm not saying that presumptuously. I'm actually the president of my company, the Voice of Democracy, but I'll let other people draw conclusions as to why I chose that.
Let me ask you to see if I can draw a conclusion on my own. Do you plan to return home and run for president one day, if that is possible politically?
I very much would like to do that. However, my country has refused to renew my passport for the last 4 years. They've had individuals like Cassie & Associates, which is the lobbying firm based in Washington, D.C., try to act as an intermediary, but President Obiang has decreed that no one is to allow Gustavo and Envela to have a passport. So have not been able to travel out of the country, but more importantly, my father passed away on July 25th, 2005. He was promised by President Obiang in 1985 at the Presidential Palace that upon his death he would be repatriated. My father is still resting, ever so quietly, in Salem, Oregon. So it looks as if it may have to be his son, who may be the next president of Equatorial Guinea, to usher his remains back to the land of his birth.
And what is your hope for the country and its future economically? We read about President Obama and President Obiang wanting to develop closer relations. If the oil wealth is there, the people may not be represented quite that well by those fat lions that you're talking about.
Yeah, and fortunately, President Obama, with whom I have the greatest respect and with whom I guess we share certain common attributes with regard to the African heritage, but I also know that he's in a position right now where, as a newly elected president, he can only take on so much of the world. So what I would like to be is that strong voice, letting him know that should there become a transition to democracy, and if the people of Equatorial Guinea should select me and elect me as their next president, that President Obama would have a friend in that part of the world.
Are they likely to do that with your expatriate status? Are they likely to say, oh, he's been gone so long, even though it's a forced exile?
No, they know that I thirst to return to my country, and they know that unlike a lot of scenarios where people want to phone in the vote, I'd love to be on the ground. I'd love to be in Malabo. I'd love to be in Bata.
In fact, your aunt was viciously killed by the dictator Obiang.
Actually, by Macias Nguema in 1971. Because Macias Nguema couldn't get to our family, he killed my father's sister by chopping off her arms, and she bled to death in the public square. I have a very strong kinship to her. I was only 3 years old at the time, but I feel her presence and the ancestral ties that link myself to my country. And I assure you, Mr. Moore, that one day change will find its way in Equatorial Guinea.
When was the last time you were there?
I was there last in 2000, and I had to secret myself through Gabon because it was known that I was in the area. And I don't want any bloodshed. This can be done in a very democratic way, and I'm all about the principles of democracy, ballots over bullets.
All right, Gustavo Envela Jr., thank you very much for being here and teaching our audience about what's going on in Equatorial Guinea.
Thank you very much.